I'll read you the scripture. Paul said, we have a treasure in earthen vessels so that the surpassing greatness of power would be of God, not of ourselves. We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed. We are perplexed, but not despairing. We are persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed. We're always carrying around the body of the dying Jesus so that the life of Jesus may be manifest in our body. For we who live are constantly being delivered over to the death for Jesus' sake, so that the life of Jesus may also be manifest in our mortal flesh. So death works in us, so life can work in you. Don't quit. Anybody seen the movie Rocky Balboa? It's the 6th movie. He's old. Do you remember that movie? How many of you seen that movie? How many have not seen that movie? Oh, sorry. You should go see that movie. Jesus is in that movie. He's the priest in the window. It's a story about Rocky. He's old, and in the movie he's old, and he wants to make a comeback. And his son, who in the movie now is like in his 20s, he has this really good job at this financial place, and he's some kind of financier, stock trader or something like that. And Rocky decides he wants to make a comeback, and his son won't talk to him. So you know how Rocky is, and so he keeps calling. And in the movie, throughout the movie, he's calling his son, and his son, you can see the phone's ringing, but he's not answering. And so one day he goes down to his work and meets the kid as he's coming out. He's not a kid anymore; he's a young man. And he says to him, "Hey, I called you, and I called you, and while it didn't ring, no one answered." He's like, "Yeah, Dad, I've been busy." Yeah, I know. You and I, we're like home team, right? Like, I call and then you answer. Your mother would want you to answer the phone, because you and I, we're like, we're a home team. Yeah, Dad, I know. So finally, he convinces his son to come down to the restaurant and have dinner. And so his son sits down. He's about to, serve him dinner. And in this kind of funky sports bar, comes up on the screen, and it's the ESPN guy talking about Rocky Balboa is actually agreed to fight this other guy. And his son sees it, and he gets up and walks out of the restaurant, and Rocky's falling, hey, come back. And he's kind of walking, and his son's like, "Dad, just get away from me, Dad. This is just leave me alone." And he kind of chases him down, and he catches him in the sidewalk, and he says, "Hey, what's wrong with you?" He said, "Dad, you know what? You know why I got that job? I got that job because of my last name. That's why I didn't hire me. I hired you. And I'm living under this shadow, this big shadow. I'm living under a shadow. Yeah, living under a shadow. And life's been pretty good for the last few years, and now you want to make a comeback, and the shadow's getting bigger. And I spent my whole life living under a shadow. It's sick of it, Dad. And you know what? Everyone's making fun of you, Dad. They're making fun of you. You're an old man. You're a has-been. And you are nothing. And you are trying to make a comeback, and you're a laughing stock, and and I have the same last name. And he turns to walk away, and he goes, "Hey, son." He turns around, and he says this to him. He said, "When you were little, I'd hold you up and I'd say, 'Your mother, this kid's going to be the best kid in the world. This kid's going to be someone better than anyone ever knew, and you grew up good and wonderful. And it was great just watching you every day was like a privilege. Then the time come for you to be your own man, take on the world, and you did it. But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you, and you let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got bad, you started looking for someone to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. is a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it'll beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You and me, nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That is how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you ain't going to be willing. But if you ain't willing to take the hits, start over. But you're going to be willing, but you got to be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody else. And then he yells this at him. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.